Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome to round 3, week 6. We're going to be talking about self-care this week. Yep, we've talked about it before, and we're going to talk about it again. And it's not an unusual thing. The truth is, even with clients I've worked with for an extended period of time, I'm thinking about a woman that I've worked with on and off for probably close to 10 years. Depending on what's going on in her life at the time. Yesterday, much of our conversation was once again self-care. This happens for all of us because we're human. We can become very busy and something will catch our attention, our focus. And sometimes self-care slides to the bottom of the pile. Or we become very used to doing one thing, and we may not notice that something else needs some attention. For instance, we might get into a habit of drinking too much coffee. And someone gently reminding us that it's not the healthiest thing for us and that they care about us might remind us to switch to tea or water, something that feels better. The same with how we move our body. Do we stretch ourselves in ways that feels good? Do we allow ourselves to rest? Do we make the appointments that are needed for self-care? Haircut, which I'm badly in need of. Dentist. Vision, hearing, body. It can be really easy to put these things further down the line and say, oh, I'll get to it. I get it. This is not about shaming. It's not about judging. This is about awareness. This is about awareness. So often when we think about self-care, we think it's that bubble bath, and holy cats, it can be. It can be that time with someone special. It might be lighting a candle. It might be visiting a church and just being in deepest prayer in a sacred place. It could be feeding the squirrels, taking a walk in nature. As the leaves here are only beginning to turn, it's very high on my list. What is self-care for you today? Now, this week, I've been asking you over the last several weeks to be very aware a few times a day of what you're feeling. I'm going to ask you to take that, to expand that, I guess, a little bit, not only to what you are feeling, but what you need and what you want. It's okay to want something, to desire something, and to wrap yourself in something that feels good for you. So this week for self-care, I'll repeat what I said last night. I encourage you to put yourself up on that list, at least as high as everybody else that you care about. We don't have to take care of our own needs to the exclusion of anyone else, though sometimes that's absolutely reasonable. Yesterday, I had major sinus headache. It felt like it was going to migraine. I didn't want that because I had the group last night. Well, plus I didn't want the pain, right? So self-care was big, steaming cup of hot tea, time in my recliner. And while the air was on in the house, I wrapped up in a blanket and I used my neti pot. I was doing all of these things. And I told Happy I wasn't making dinner. Now he usually does, but it's a soup day, and I love making soups and stews, and I'm pretty good at it. I abdicated. I said, that's it. I'm out. I'm not running any more errands. I'm not doing any housework today. I'm not making the meal. I made tending to my discomfort my priority. That was my self-care, and I'm glad I did because I felt much better. And guess what? He wasn't hurt by that. It didn't do anything to him. He didn't feel neglected, but because I expressed it, he understood. So self-care can be dealing and managing and attending to pain or discomfort. Sometimes that's where we're most willing to step into it. What if self-care is also maintaining and encouraging feeling better? Our weekly group. It's not mandatory for any of you, is it? But if you notice, we've been asking how we feel when we start and how we feel at the end. And each of you always registers a difference of feeling better. That's beautiful self-care. So this week, I'm asking you to take a little time, a few times a day, check in with you. Check in with yourself. What do I need? What do I want? What am I willing to step into to embrace? On a physical level, that's usually where we have our first awareness. How about emotional? How about mental? That stress, whoa, it can be a lot. If there's overload of stress, how can we relieve some of it? Maybe it's those slow, deep breaths. That's a beautiful, beautiful way because it does bring down our stress and helps us to calm. Is there something we can delegate to someone? How can we relieve ourselves of overwhelming stress? A little bit makes a big difference. Spiritual. What are your spiritual wants and needs? Maybe it's listening to incredible music. Maybe it's watching a movie or reading a book, sitting in contemplation. I don't know, but you do. That is the challenge this week, ladies. To take self-care to a new level of awareness and to embrace it. Sending you my love. Namaste.